Hi, I'm Lisa Sarges, author of Diary of a Fat Girl, available on Amazon. And the audiobook is me reading it. And that was quite an emotional thing, to relive the traumatizing parts of my childhood and having to read them aloud. So that's my audiobook. And it's also available in paperback and on Kindle, where I talk about life growing up with a difficult mother. I tried to title this channel Daughters of Narcissistic Mothers, and YouTube wouldn't accept it. So either the channel name was taken, or you're not allowed to say that. So it's Daughters of Difficult Mothers. But I received a request from a watcher who asked if I might do a video on sons of narcissistic mothers. Now, I've only been able to observe the effects of that. I'm certainly not a son myself, but they certainly suffer, and they suffer similar fallout in the form of mood disorders and depression as daughters of narcissistic mothers. So I do have a master's in psychology, but I'm not licensed. So what I do here is talk about my experiences, my observations, and I give you my informed opinion. But I don't diagnose or treat or make recommendations. I would just talk about what I've done and what I might do in a similar situation. You know, the sons have it just as bad in... So if you had a narcissistic mother who would take credit for anything good you ever accomplished, or that your accomplishments were due to her superior parenting, or she'd be sitting with you in your own apartment or home and be bragging to your guests all the things she bought for you. Yeah, those things happened. It doesn't sound, look, on the surface, saying something like that is like, that's all she did? Please. If you aren't well versed in what it's like to be raised by somebody with a cluster B personality mood disorder, that is narcissistic personality disorder, borderline personality disorder, histrionic, I cannot talk in every video about the horrors that I lived through. I will, but I'm doing this specifically for a watcher who asked about, well, what about, sons? Narcissistic mothers can be very overly controlling of their sons, demanding that they live up to certain accomplishments for bragging rights. In order to get any kind of love or affection or attention or approval, the sons have to achieve certain things. They're not loved just for who they are. They're not loved and comforted, just for being. They are these little puppet babies who reflect well on the narcissistic mother. I've seen sons of narcissistic mothers being unable to date for a few reasons. I think the controlling mother will stage many kinds of illnesses and ailments. When I say stage, these ailments and illnesses can be very real. So if you brought them to the doctor or the hospital, they would show up as actual ailments. But they are brought on subconsciously, psychosomatically, and they become these real things, so that the sons are in a guilt spiral where leaving the mother to go on a date or consider marrying would be considered selfish and cruel, and how could you do this to me, ungrateful? They use guilt tripping. They use guilt tripping on their daughters and definitely on their sons. It's almost as if they would consider that their sons are like cheating on them. by being interested in a girl or trying to bring a girl home. And then when they do bring the girl home, if they're brave enough or successful enough to get that far, the mother will be very condescending and insulting to the girl and not 100% welcoming. Or she'll act very welcoming, and then the minute the door closes after the girl goes, she harps in on her son about all these faults, and you'll be miserable with her, and did you see how she spoke to me, and more guilt tripping. Sons of narcissistic mothers, I've observed, suffer from gaslighting. The classic, I never said that. No, you just heard it that way. Why are you always so trying to make me out to be such a monster? I didn't say that. When they did say that. Or reinventing history. No, that's how you remember it. What I actually said was making their children, narcissistic mothers, make their sons and daughters question their own sanity. Oh God, did I really hear it that way? Maybe I am making it all up. You always do this, and then the tears, and the guilt tripping, and the crying, and the how could you? And some people go all their lives in this control drama dynamic. I've seen it happen. It's so painful to watch, and people just don't move on. Look at poor Carrie Fisher and Debbie Reynolds. Okay, that's not a son. I'm supposed to be talking about sons, but I mean, as an example. Watch Bright Lights, I think it was called. Sons aren't allowed to have friends. Again, the narcissistic mother or the borderline personality disordered mother has such a fear of abandonment and such a need to control that it's hard for guys to have guy friends. She'll emasculate or embarrass her son in front of other guys. And it's hard to maintain friendships. It's hard to go out to other people's houses. Oh, what do you like, her cooking better than mine? Some other mother's cooking. And God forbid you want to have a sleepover. Possessiveness. They're possessive. It's like they had their sons to be like little purse dogs or accessories for them that they carry around and show off. And then when they're done showing off, quiet, sit. They'll pay for expensive schools or expensive lessons just to brag. See, I put you through all the best schools. I took you to this thing and that thing. There's evidence. There's a bill to show that you paid for this certain thing, and yet it's just not support somehow. They'll find ways to sabotage the nice things they do so that they're not nice things. Nothing ever pleases them. They tell you exactly what they want. Okay, I'll bring you home this. Whether it's something to eat or something to watch, appliance, whatever. Oh, yeah, no, no. Yeah, no, it looks different than in the paper. Or, oh, no, I thought I told you that I wanted one with the red thing on it. Oh, I guess it's just one more instance of you not listening to me. Well, I guess I'll keep it now. Nothing ever pleases them. You get them a thoughtful, wonderful gift. Well, where am I going to put this? I have no room for this. How thoughtless of you. Or, oh, I saw these on sale. That's all you spent on me? Never able to please them. I think there's more competition between narcissistic mothers and their daughters because they're both female, and there's this competition for male attention, which I was taught how to do at a very young age. I don't know how that works out with sons unless, let's see, the father is still home and he lasted and it's a two-parent household. I guess parenting competition. So anything the father tries to do with the son, she undermines it. I can't believe you took him outside in this weather without his coat. Or she will destroy the father's reputation to the son. Oh, your father never did this for me. He never bought that for me. He's always been a loser. This is why we live in such a small house. Because, and it's so painful to listen to your own mother put your father down. And I can imagine how much more painful it is for a son. They want to keep their sons attached to them, needing them, never moving on, catering to their egos. It's a sad thing to watch if you have to watch it. And when they try to break away, the hysterics and the screaming, or the illnesses that come on, and the guilt tripping, or the threatening to cut off money. God forbid you still rely on them for money. They will threaten. They'll sell the house out from under you. They'll do terrible things. And the saddest part is, no, that's not the saddest part, but a sad part is they are incapable of being self-aware. You show them their own behavior and they just cry. They're hurt that you're finding fault with them. So if they are trying to gaslight you, oh, I said this and you didn't hear it right, and you held up a piece of paper with their exact words, or you showed them a recording with their exact words, they would just be terribly hurt. Why would you do such a thing to me? I mean, it's just one little mistake. You're overreacting. Oh, I'm sure they do that to their sons. You're blowing this up. You're overreacting. No, you're just reacting. And then, children of narcissistic mothers were conditioned to believe that that's normal. That's just how relationships are. So our love relationships, our friendships, they tend to be very unstable because that's all we're used to. And our self-worth is so fragile and shaky, and that we don't stand up for ourselves when we get into abusive relationships. Sons of narcissistic mothers tend to end up with borderline girlfriends and wives. Girlfriends and wives with borderline personality disorder. I've observed that as well. Is there a fix? Yes. Is it easy? No. One has to reparent oneself and build oneself up from the ground up. That's what I've been doing successfully. I don't even think I'm halfway toward well, but gosh, I'm feeling so much better and I'm in so much less pain. I'm able to draw boundaries with her while still being the caring, loving daughter I want to be. I know some people say no contact is the best. If that's your choice, you have to do what you have to do. It was not the best for me. I wasn't happy or comfortable with it. But getting her to behave certain ways, acknowledge, she's 95. I mean, it took me this long to, negotiate boundaries. It's hard to defy them because of the spite and the guilt and the hysterics and the illness, but it can be done. And you do have to have, someone, a partner, a spouse, a significant other that's on board with keeping those boundaries, because those narcissistic mothers like to triangulate. Is that a triangle? Triangulate. Talk shit behind everyone's backs. Everybody gets a different version of a story. Manipulate. So make sure your significant other is on board with remaining very stoic and not being manipulated. Oh, he's told you terrible stories about me. Oh, his father put those ideas in his head, or his psychiatrist put those ideas in his head, or... Yeah. The stories are real. And healing is possible. It takes a lot of self-forgiveness, self-nurturing, and noticing that nagging voice in my head, which is things she used to say to me, or still does. Just playing on automatic. You gotta catch it. And then reset it with something nice. I did a really good job of doing such and such today, or wow, I learned this from Shari Schreiber. Her videos are phenomenal. She's written a book, I believe it's called Do You Need to Be Loved or Love to Be Needed? She's an expert in borderline personality disorder. She writes about it as an expert. So she's taught me a lot of self-care habits that are working to make me feel so much better, and to recognize that that voice in my head is lying. So sons of narcissistic mothers and mothers with borderline personality disorder, there's hope. Listen to the right people here. I might be one of the right people here, but there's also other people, life coaches and experts. Educate yourself. Join in with other people who have suffered the same thing, so you know that what you lived through is not normal. And then you can have your, oh wow, me too, and come out of that shame cycle, or thinking that you're the only one who suffered like this. There's so many of us out here on YouTube and social media healing from our troubled childhoods and learning how to negotiate freedom from our mood disordered mothers, whether it's low contact, no contact, or boundary drawing. It can be done. There's hope. There's hope for your own health and happiness. And I wish that for you. And there's more videos coming. I just felt the need to respond to this man who reached out. Sons certainly have it very, very hard. Their mothers just destroy them the same way that destroy their daughters. Like I said, there's hope. We can heal. Okay, so if you want to hear about how I grew up with my mother and developed an eating disorder and had to have 3 weight loss surgeries to try to intervene with my eating disorder, it's quite the book. Diary of a Fat Girl, How I Lost 140 Pounds, Overcame Binge Eating Disorder, and Learned to Love Myself After Weight Loss Surgery. I'm working on my next book, Wheelchair to Warrior, where I got myself new knees, and no, my mother was not a fan of my being able to walk without pain. It's going to be an interesting story. So look me up on Amazon. Subscribe here. This is a new channel. I have another channel. Just look up my name. Spell it Sargese. I'm the only Sarjays on YouTube. Tons of videos on my other channel, but I wanted this to be dedicated to adult children of narcissists, people with borderline personality disorder, alcoholics, and other abusers. I wanted this to be a channel specifically for that. And I'll be hoping that you find clarity and your own best wellness. Take care.